today? Good. Happy Friday. I'm Amanda Haas, and I am an ambassador for Whole Foods Market and a cookbook author. And I'm so happy to be here hosting the Napa Valley Film Festival's culinary stage all weekend. So welcome. If you haven't been here before, it is just the best weekend ever. And I'm really excited about our demo this morning. Who doesn't love a little wine with a cinnamon roll? Bread and wine doesn't get any better than that. So what I'm really excited about as well is that we have Remy Long here today, who's the filmmaker for Alchemy. And she's going to share her story about the film while we bake together today as well. And Remy, I'll make sure we tell everybody where your movie's showing and everything else. I can't wait to work with you today. And I would like to, I'm going to get her name right, introduce Chef Sally Giftakis, who is the owner of Monday Bakery right here in town. Welcome. I got your name right?
You did.
In all fairness, it just changed. Is that Matt?
I just got married. Yeah, we just got married about a month ago, so I'm still getting used to it. It's not quite rolling off the tongue.
I try so hard to get people's names right, and she said it changed. I'm okay. I can do it.
We went from one really complicated to another really complicated.
Right.
You know.
Well, and I'm so excited, too, if you've been to any of these other demonstrations this week. We have Steve Greenberg here, who is pouring from a collection of wines from Treasury Wine Estates. And today, why not? We're drinking some Etude Pinot Noir with your cinnamon roll. So we'll be able to talk wine, bread, cinnamon rolls, everything. So what'd they say? Something funny. So Sally, you got into baking how long ago?
Oh gosh, I've been baking now, I think 8 or 9 years. It all kind of blends together.
Right.
I got started actually up in Seattle, Washington, is where I'm from originally.
Woohoo! Go Seattle.
And I actually started without formal training, but then I decided after doing a lot of very misguided attempts in the kitchen that I wanted to get some training.
Got it.
So I moved down here to go to CIA up in St. Helena.
No big deal.
No.
Just, small investment of time and energy.
Yeah. But I just absolutely adored culinary school and knew that that was what I wanted to do with my life. So I kind of got suckered into staying down here for a while and started my career in the Valley at the Thomas and Fagiani's. It's now no longer there, but I was their pastry chef for a long time.
Wow.
And then I moved over to Ad Hoc, which is a Thomas Keller restaurant up in Yountville. I don't know if any of you are familiar with that.
Amazing, delicious.
And then from there, I started my own business.
Which is so exciting, Monday Bakery.
Really exciting. We've been alive now for about 3 years. So.
Oh my gosh, congratulations.
Thank you.
So why cinnamon rolls today? Is this one of your specialties?
It is definitely one of our specialties. I've had it around, I got my start at the farmers markets, and then we moved over into a brick and mortar roughly about a year ago.
Okay.
So it's definitely been one of the elements that I've had since day one. We make ours quite large. They're almost dinner plate sized.
Oh my gosh.
So they're definitely a commitment.
Right. you gotta be
so
hungry.
We made them a little smaller for you today.
Right.
But it's definitely one of my favorite breakfast items to be making. My husband's family actually has a tradition of cinnamon rolls on Christmas morning. So last
mine.
year. Really?
Yeah, that's the one thing my dad always made, cinnamon rolls on Christmas morning.
I don't
That's
know,
funny.
it's just kind of a classic.
It's
and
good.
It's really like down-home feeling and very kind of warming and comforting and
so good.
Reminds you of, I don't know, grandma or family and just kind of that really comforting feeling.
Absolutely, and it's a treat. So how do we start with
Okay, so
what are we doing first?
We are dealing with a yeasted dough here.
Okay.
The main difference in what I'm making today versus what I'm usually making is the fact that we are using a sourdough starter. So it adds a little bit more of a yeasty element to your cinnamon rolls.
Right.
Usually we're just using instant yeast,
Okay.
which we are going to use a little bit of today. But the sourdough is just amazing.
I was going to say, I've never thought to do that with a cinnamon roll, like more tang, a little bit more contrast in flavors.
Yeah, it's a really, I feel like you can't go wrong with yeasty goodness.
You can't. You cannot.
There's just no such thing as too much yeast.
Oh my gosh, amazing.
Yeah, it really offers this nice, really tangy, complex flavor to the roll.
Okay.
Which people don't really think about. So let's see, where
So
should we
to
start
make the
here?
dough, do you
Yeah.
do this in a food processor?
No, I do it in a
stand
mixer.
mixer?
Yeah, stand
Yeah,
mixer.
okay.
So what we're gonna do here, we've got buttermilk, milk, and Sourdough Starter.
Wow.
I'm gonna add a little bit of warm water. So when you're dealing with your liquids, you want to be dealing with a warm liquid.
Okay.
It's gonna want to make that yeast really happy. The addition
Feeds
of
it.
addition of liquid to the yeast brightens it up, comes alive. There's a really sweet spot of temperature that you're wanting.
Right.
If you make it too warm, then you're gonna kill them.
Kill it.
And if it's too cold, then they just won't activate. They won't become awake.
They're super high maintenance.
Yeah, they really are. They really are. I can't tell you how many batches of cinnamon rolls I've had to toss because they didn't get happy.
Oh my gosh, crazy. So we're going to combine the
Yeah, so we're going to
yeast
combine yeast,
with the buttermilk,
buttermilk, milk,
milk.
starter.
Okay. So your sourdough starter, is this something you've had forever?
Yes. I've actually worked with a local bread maker now for a little while. His name's Kyle. He makes really amazing, what's the name of his company? Royal Artisan Breads is the name of his company.
Okay.
And he vends at the farmer's market. And he helped us get started on our sourdough starter.
Wow.
Because it's been in his family for a long time.
an art
And
form.
I'm so thankful that he was able to share it with us because people get very territorial with their sourdough
Yes,
starters.
they don't want to share.
I'm gonna try not to make a mess here, but
Oh,
we'll see how
I'm
this
here to
goes.
help or
You're here to
clean up
help?
your mess. So
I'm
what
just
can I
gonna
do?
try and pour this in
Drizzle
a little bit.
in. Yeah, you did better than I would.
I know.
I was like, I can hold this and stir for
Yeah,
you.
that works. So basically, what I'm doing here, I'm adding a little bit of water. This is warm water that I have over here.
Okay.
Just to, like I said, activate that yeast a little bit. Another good way to do this is to just warm your milk up.
Okay.
That'll work too.
And it's okay if it's a little bit lumpy because when you add the flour, it's all going to get combined.
Yeah, and what we're gonna do with this guy is we're gonna let him sit for a second, just to let that yeast activate a little bit.
Okay.
There goes some more.
And while we let that sit and you move on to the next part, I wanted to ask Remy about her film Alchemy, which is showing tonight. Is it tonight?
Yeah, it's showing tonight at the Archer Hotel at 6 o'clock, and then tomorrow at Charles Krug at 8:15. So
Amazing. And Remy shared with us this story. We got to hear about it, but I hope you get to go check it out. Tell us a little bit about it and who the subject of the film is.
my documentary is called Untitled Alchemy. It's about Bonnie O'Hara, and she's a bread baker based in Modesto, California. So I was living in Los Angeles, I think it was the summer of 2017, and my mom's whole side of the family is from Modesto, and I follow one of my mom's best friends from kindergarten who still lives there on Instagram.
Instagram brings people together.
Yeah, and so I saw that she was posting photos of this beautiful bread, and I was like, I must find out who's making this. So I decided to email Bonnie, and I emailed her, had to set up a couple phone calls, and then I don't know, that took about 2 weeks, and then I drove up from Los Angeles with a tiny little film crew and shot for 3 days. So the documentary is about Bonnie O'Hara, and she is like I said, a bread baker from Modesto, California. She started baking bread to save money for her family, and then she kind of just blossomed into this artisanal bread baker. And now she has 50 people that line up outside of her door every Thursday and Saturday for her friendship bakes. And it's just really awesome. She's built this whole community around baking bread. And since the completion of this documentary, she has published a bread baking book titled
great.
Bread Baking for Beginners. It's currently an
Very
Amazon
cool.
bestseller, and Jenna Fisher is also a big fan. So
cool.
you can check out Jenna's Instagram and Bonnie's Instagram. All the info's there. But yeah.
That's terrific. And I think the story that was really nice that Sally was saying too, it sounds like Bonnie was inspired by some of the same things that compelled you to bake, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think we're all.
Is your mic?
Can
Can we hear you?
Can you guys hear me?
Oh, now we go.
Okay.
Now we're going.
Good now. I think Bonnie and I both share really similar passion. What motivates us to get up in the morning and do what we do
Right.
is just kind of the feeling that you can glean from baking and making something that starts out with such raw ingredients. She talks about the alchemic, I don't know if I'm making up words, alchemic elements of, the grains and the, yeast. I'm assuming she's using some sort of wild yeast starter.
Right.
And just kind of creating something from the earth out of nothing and putting your heart and soul into what you're doing is just so incredible. And it's really hard to describe that feeling of, the first loaf of bread that you
Right, that you
create,
make.
or, cinnamon
It's
roll that
magic.
you push out, or, the feeling that you get when you watch, a child taste a bite of your cookie. It's
Exactly.
just amazing.
No,
Yeah.
it's a magical thing, and you're putting your love and your energy into what you're doing.
Yeah.
So that's what I love about it
Absolutely.
as well. So I hope you'll get a chance to check out Bonnie's story because it sounds pretty incredible as well.
It is.
That's great. So what are we doing
Yeah,
here?
so
You put
all
the
I
yeast
did, I put
and the
it
starter
into our mixer.
Okay.
So currently all we have in here right now is our starter, our milk, our buttermilk, a little bit of warm water, and a little
Okay.
bit of instant yeast to kind of boost that guy up a little.
Right.
I'm going to add our sugar.
Okay. All of that?
All
Sugar
the
feeds the yeast
sugar.
as
So
well?
sugar feeds the yeast. Sugar makes yeast very happy. It's
Okay.
their food. It's what they eat to create the carbon monoxide that they're going to release and help things rise.
Okay.
Salt.
Salt.
As well.
Which looks like a large amount, but again, like salt's going to add flavor to
Don't
everything.
be scared of salt.
Don't be. Salt is our friend.
Is our friend, absolutely.
At least mine. I always say you'll never use as much salt cooking at home than you would probably get in a restaurant,
No,
right? So don't be afraid to
I've
use.
witnessed a demo before where, she had a big old thing of salt in front of her and she was making polenta, I want to say.
And, oh.
She grabbed this huge handful of salt and threw it in. The audience just goes, you were just shocked at how much salt goes into it. But it really is. It's you can tell the difference.
Absolutely.
Side by side.
Yes.
A restaurant cooked dish versus a home cooked dish, and the amount
Right.
of salt that you're using is
true.
shocking.
It's really true.
So the next thing I'm going to add is an egg.
Okay.
I really like eggs for flavor, obviously, but also for their color.
Oh,
that they
nice.
add
It's
as
going to
well.
give the dough a really pretty color.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cinnamon rolls are what we call an enriched dough.
Yes.
So a lot of, I'm sure what Bonnie does are, very naturally fermented sourdough loaves, which is, we don't use any sort of liquid, or dairy, eggs, any sort of that.
Just like flour,
so
water,
very lean,
yeast. Yeah,
very
simple.
lean dough. Yes. Cinnamon rolls are a little bit more complex.
Just a little.
Add a little milk, a little buttermilk in there,
Right.
just to kind of give it that really nice richness, depth of flavor.
And that texture that's going to be so
nice
yummy.
and fluffy.
You already got to eat them. Oh, amazing. So good. Oh, they're so good. That's great.
Okay, so we have
Okay,
all
good.
of that in our bowl now, and I'm
Okay.
going to add our flour as well.
This is so easy in that you're doing it all at once.
Yeah,
I think
oh,
people
yeah.
are really intimidated by dough. And then once
Yeah.
you like even when I started making pizza dough, I'm like, oh, this isn't hard.
No, not
It's
at
really,
all.
it's just getting your yeast at the right, not killing it. Right?
Yes, yes.
And then
not
knowing-
killing your yeast is key. Definitely.
And measurements.
In measurements.
In your world,
yes,
you have to measure.
that as well. So final element is butter.
This is why it's enriched. I like
Yes.
it. Flavor. More flavor.
Good.
I'm just going to be your dish person, okay?
Awesome.
So good. This Kenwood stand mixer is amazing.
Oh my gosh, it's so
I know.
cool.
It's like beautiful.
I didn't know Kenwood made
Comes with
mixers.
it's pretty incredible with all these attachments that you can add on top as well. Okay, so you're just going to do it kind of like medium low speed.
Yep, about a medium speed. So you're first trying to incorporate all of your flour. So if you turn her on high all the way, you're going to get flour everywhere. Although
Right.
you have this nice little shield here, so you
That
might not.
shield's amazing.
But you're basically wanting to incorporate all of your elements together. I'm using a dough hook right now. It's what we use for most of our doughs. So you're just kind of waiting for it to come together into a nice little shaggy dough.
And then you're done.
No, not quite. We're going to go up a little bit. We're developing the gluten in the dough.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure that it's all going to come together really nicely. This is definitely going to be a really shaggy dough, so it's not going to come together like a bread dough or
Right.
anything like that. It's definitely on the softer side of your doughs.
And how do you know if you're overworking it? Do you have to worry about it with this type of dough?
Not quite. This one's not as temperamental, I would say, than your lean doughs. Because your enriching elements are going to give you a little bit more flexibility.
Okay.
So you're basically just looking for a nice smooth texture. All of your elements are going to be incorporated. You know, your butter, your flour. You don't want to have any large flour lumps in there. No large lumps of butter. All
Right.
that sort of good stuff. So you're just making sure that everything is nice and combined together. It's going
Looks good to me.
Real sticky. I think that's one
I
of
like
the great
that.
things about baking, at least in my world and probably in Bonnie's world as well, is it's a very messy process.
It
I
is
would
a messy
say.
process.
There's always
You gotta be
flour
willing to get in.
everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm usually wearing some sort of chocolate on myself.
No, where's your shop? Is it here in town?
Yeah, we're right on 2nd Street, over by, we're in between the post office and Grace's Table is on the corner as well.
Okay.
Yeah, we just opened less than a year ago, and
Wow.
just having a lot of fun.
Is this a staple, or do you kind of rotate this?
This
through
is a
your
staple.
menu? Oh,
We have
wow.
these every day.
Wow.
Yeah, they're really good.
This is love,
I've eaten
right here,
way-
labor of love.
Way too many of these.
Yeah, you can do it in your sleep.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, good.
Okay,
So, is this that's been?
So this is a little bit of TV magic here.
Yeah, I love that.
The hardest aspect of doing a yeasted dough for a demo is the fact that it actually does need to rise.
For a long time.
You do have to let your yeast activate and do what it does.
Right.
Let it kind of come, I would say probably about an hour and a half in a warmish temperatured area. And it's going to probably double in size.
Okay.
It's going to be nice and fluffy.
Yeah. What do you look for? I mean, the size definitely.
Yeah,
but
size definitely.
Bubbles? Like, do we
definitely
want
some
that?
bubbles in there. That's kind of showing you that your yeast has been activated.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of the same with Bonnie, where you just kind of, it's a feeling, it's kind of a gut feeling that once you've made 5 million cinnamon rolls,
You know.
you kind of are able to identify it by sight.
You just know.
Yeah, you
That's
just know.
interesting. Yeah. I mean, how many times have you done this? It's like you've mastered it.
Oh,
Right? So for those of us who haven't, I mean, the thing is, like, you see it and it bounces back a little
The
bit.
bouncing is definitely key as well.
Okay.
You put your finger in there and you want the dough
Boom.
to bounce back for you. It's probably not going to come back all the way, especially
Right.
if you're really yanking it in there. But
Okay.
yeah, you're definitely going to get some elasticity in there, and bubbles as well are definitely key.
So now what?
So now we get to be really messy.
Ooh, good. I'm here for you.
Excellent. All right, so yeah, we'll go over
We're going to
here.
put this out.
I'm found for
Remy,
you.
I'm curious, are you a baker by nature too? Do you like to bake?
I like to bake. I've never baked bread, actually. But
Cookies?
Yeah.
Cakes?
Cookies, yeah, cookies. I like to bake cookies.
Right.
Cakes sometimes. I always make my mom's kitchen a mess every time I go home, so it's something I enjoy. I'm not particularly great at it, but
Right.
yeah.
But it's interesting that you were drawn to that film and just the beauty of what she was doing, right? Of the practice. So we can all appreciate it.
Yeah, I also wanted to tell a story kind of about, I don't know, a strong female, or like a story that has a strong female lead. And,
Yeah.
I feel like, the culinary and the film industry the culinary and the film industries are so male dominated.
Yes.
And so I felt like it was an important story to tell.
That's awesome. We had another film here yesterday where a woman who won MasterChef Israel was the subject of the film, and bringing people together around food was pretty powerful. So I'm really glad you could tell the story.
Me too.
Okay, here
As a
we go.
woman in food, I'm
Yes,
glad you could tell the story
exactly.
too.
Exactly. Okay, now what? So you do this with your hands.
Sometimes I do this with my hands. When you're making a lot of them, I use a rolling pin. But basically, you're looking for a lot of flour. You don't want your dough to stick to your surface.
Okay.
And we're gonna roll.
Oh yeah, you have a gorgeous, oh my gosh, if you haven't had a chance to go back and look at Blanc Creatives behind us, they have cookware, but these beautiful handmade tools, these wood rolling, they're
Handmade?
gorgeous, they're so gorgeous. They're here from Charlottesville, Virginia, and they're just stunning. I love this rolling pin.
So what I'm looking for here, you're not gonna wanna treat your dough very
Aggressively?
aggressively. Thank you. Oh gosh, so glad you're here. You're kind of looking for an even thickness
Right.
in your dough, and I usually try to get it roughly rectangular.
You do.
It's not really working well right now. as
I am
I'm
the
speaking
worst at
about
that.
it,
Like
but-
with pizza dough, I call them amoeba pizzas. I can never shape them well.
Yeah, it's going to affect how when you're rolling, you're not going to get even rolls, which sometimes it's okay.
Right.
Obviously, in a not mass produced, because that sounds harsh, but in a larger scale production of cinnamon rolls, people want the continuity,
yeah.
the uniformity. If you're just baking at home, you can give your child the extra little piece, and they're
Everyone's
good
happy.
to go. Yeah.
Exactly. Nobody wants the end when they're coming to your shop, right? To buy it. They want a big,
I don't know.
fluffy
Some people
cinnamon
prefer
roll.
end pieces.
Really?
I don't know.
It's like the
kinda
brownie
yeah,
rim.
like
People like
corner
that
of the
too.
brownie.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, you're getting it there.
Yeah.
I like how you just shape it with your hand to kind of like
Yeah,
make
you
a
kinda
side on it if you need.
Guide it a little bit into the
That's a great
shape that
trick.
you want. Yeah.
Oh,
So you're looking for, I don't know, what would you call that? An inch thick? Something like that?
maybe a half.
Half an inch?
All right.
Yeah.
Is it weird to think dough is beautiful? It's so gorgeous. The texture of it's amazing.
Dude, I
I just want to
know.
play.
I know my staff members always come up when I'm proofing dough, when I'm letting the dough rise, they come up and they just smell it. Just because it smells so nice and yeasty and warm, and it's beautiful.
What time do you get there to make in the mornings?
My chef is in the kitchen at, I think their shift starts at 4 a.m. every day. It's funny, this is a lot more baking than I normally do on a daily basis because when you start owning a business, you don't do a lot of baking. There's a lot of other elements that go into owning a business.
Right.
So it's really fun for me to get flour
Get to do this, exactly.
Yeah.
Get to do your, practice your craft, right?
Yep. I don't really bake at home anymore either, sorry.
Sorry, Matt.
Okay, so we are nice and rolled out here.
And the filling. So what's your secret here?
So I've got, I use my hands just because I feel like they're the handiest tool we have. And it's really nice to, you get to control the amount that you're using.
Right.
And kind of feel like, oh, that area seems really thick. That area is really thin.
You have, so spices, is this brown sugar that you're using?
It's brown sugar, yep. Brown sugar, cinnamon, sometimes...
Butter?
Sorry?
Any butter?
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Of course. Butter, salts, again.
Great. Yep.
I'm a big proponent of salt in baked goods. I think it's sometimes underrated.
Well, it brings out all of the flavors.
Exactly.
Yep.
And you just want a nice, even layer of filling.
The filling. I could just eat the filling.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be afraid to do that in my own kitchen. Not here, maybe. I have nicer burners.
There's people watching.
I know. Right? Yesterday, if anybody was here for the bagna cotta that Chef Aaron did with anchovies and garlic in this pot of olive oil, I just kept thinking if I were alone right now, I would just be in my kitchen. Just eat. Oh,
that's all you need.
Unbelievable.
I usually don't take it all the way out to the sides,
right?
Just so that you avoid some spillage when you start to roll.
Okay.
Like I said, this is a very messy process. You can have a nice little sugar scrub while you're doing this.
You come towards you.
Yeah, I roll towards me, just because I feel like I have a little more control. And I do, my first roll, I do kind of a seal here. So you make sure that you don't have a large gap in your roll
when you
you're
start.
rolling. Exactly.
That's a great tip.
Yeah,
I've never done that.
It's kind of a bread forming technique that I picked up, because when you're forming baguettes, you kind of do the same thing with your first fold. You're kind of sealing that first fold.
About this.
Yeah.
I need to go back to cooking school.
It's really fun.
Repeat. I know, it would be, I always think it would be really fun to go back, do it all over again. Or just work with people like you who teach me.
Oh.
That's gorgeous.
Yeah, so a nice roll there.
This is going to be the real deal.
This is going to be it. I go nice and tight with my roll. I don't, I'm not super working it very hard, just because if you roll it too tightly, then it's going to kind of almost spring up when you bake instead of spring out.
Okay.
So you do want to add, leave a little bit of room for it to grow.
And then do you have to seal the bottom, or does it just kind of start to stick together once you cut them and put them in?
It does. It kind of starts to stick together. You can if you want to. We kind of aired towards more of the rustic baked good at our shop.
Right.
So for us, it doesn't have to be perfectly rolled.
Okay.
It's okay if there's a little tail out in the end, or if it doesn't look perfectly uniform through the whole roll. That's just kind
You're okay with it.
Yeah, it's
real
kind of
people made it.
Exactly. It's kind of our method. So usually at this point, I'll refrigerate it. It's a lot easier to cut dough when it's a little bit colder.
Okay.
But we can't do that now.
Yes, so we're going to just magic of television
go
again.
I usually use a serrated knife to do this. It just kind of glides through a little bit easier.
Okay.
I've also seen people use dental floss, or like unflavored dental floss.
Oh my God, no, for like the most exacting
they just kind of loop it around, twist it, and then kind of
pull it and it cuts it.
It just kind
I'm
of
so curious if that's like a good thing or not.
I think the key is the unflavored.
Mint was yeah, I'm with you on that one.
So our method of measurement is
okay, come on. Why have I never thought to do that? That is brilliant.
Yeah,
boom, boom, with the knife, so they're all exactly the same. Why have I never? Literally, this is going to be my biggest takeaway of the day. Game changer.
I was hoping I was going to teach you something today, because you learned a lot yesterday.
I was like, every time I do one of these demos, I walk away learning so much. That's the best part about what we do. There's always more to learn.
Oh, constantly. I'm learning something new every day.
Right.
So that is your roll there.
Oh my gosh. Are you kidding me?
Roll.
They're beautiful.
Yeah, they turned out really nicely.
Oh, they're stunning.
So usually I kind of flatten them down a little bit. just to give them a little place to go. These guys are going to get really nice and fluffy in your oven.
Okay.
So I just give them a little bit of a love
And do
pat.
they have to proof again or rest
They
before
do.
they go in the oven?
Yeah, so we're gonna put them into our container.
Okay.
And then they gotta proof up once again before they go into an oven.
Got it.
So I'm gonna use this guy over here.
I think it's funny that in Matt's family, this is the tradition too on Christmas. Like, this is a high maintenance situation for Christmas morning. But I remember my dad could like do a lot of it before.
Yeah.
And then put
Oh,
them in
yeah.
the fridge for a while.
Yeah, you can even, I've stored dough in my freezer before.
Okay.
So you get to this point,
Yes.
and then you wrap it and throw it into your freezer.
And it's fine.
And then you take it out, you let it poof up so it's nice and fluffy like in this stage, and continue on.
Isn't
with
it
your
funny
day.
that you could do that with the yeast? You could freeze it, but if you like cook it at 3 degrees too hot, it's cranky.
He's a very temperamental guy.
This would be gorgeous.
Isn't that beautiful?
Oh my gosh, this as well is from Blanc Creatives up there. They're like
quite
oven to
heavy.
table. They're stunning.
Yeah.
So you could do them in a round.
Yeah, so I'll grease the pan really well
Uh-huh.
with some sort of cooking spray.
Right.
You can flour and butter as well. And I just like to leave them kind of in a little spiral here.
Oh, stunning. We could break the internet with this if we wanted to. Instagram, it's so pretty.
Getting flour everywhere.
Just like something you threw together.
Yeah, no big deal.
You know, no big deal.
Christmas morning.
Oh my goodness. How many of these do you make a week in the shop?
We go through, oh gosh, I want to say around 100, maybe more.
What do you sell the most of?
We do a really nice croissant, actually.
Oh, yum.
We've got 4 different flavors of croissant right now.
Unbelievable.
And we do actually use a sourdough starter in those as well.
Wow.
So they've got this really nice yeasty, complex flavor to them.
Incredible.
Which they go like hotcakes,
Hotcakes.
for sure. And then probably our second bestseller is our breakfast sandwich, made on a local bagel with some Hobbs bacon, cheddar cheese, roasted garlic aioli.
Yes,
and,
please.
Yeah, scrambled eggs. Yeah,
Sounds
it's a
incredible.
really nice hangover food.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you guys are doing.
You're probably, your
drinking,
store's hopping
but-
right now.
Yeah,
There are a
exactly.
lot of people from here over
Yeah.
there.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh, it's beautiful. I love it.
Better than I normally do. This is why chefs wear white aprons.
It's really
Bakers, I
impressive.
guess.
It's really
Yeah.
impressive. Thank you.
Of course. So at this point, you're gonna cover them. I usually just use even just a kitchen towel and let those rise up for another maybe hour or so.
Okay.
They're gonna do the same thing as your dough over here. They're gonna get nice and poofy.
Right.
When you touch them, they're gonna spring back a little bit. Not any bubbles at this point.
Okay.
But those are basically the 2 elements that you're looking for is
Right.
size and texture.
Then you bake them and you frost them afterwards.
Yes.
You use icing.
We use a cream cheese buttercream at the shop. It's
Love it.
really nice and light. It's not as
Light.
dense.
Fluffy.
It is, I swear.
I know, but I love cream cheese. Anyway,
Yeah.
So.
But it's really nice when you combine it with the buttercream because it's not as heavy as your Cinnabon frosting.
Right.
It's really you got that tang without the heaviness, which is really nice.
What I love about it too is you could change the flavor if you want to add a little orange zest or lemon zest and put
Yep.
something else in it
Little
to make it your own.
cardamom for the
Oh, yum.
holidays.
So good.
Yeah.
So
Cardamom's
good.
one of my favorite spices.
It is?
I throw that in wherever I can.
Yeah,
Drives
exactly.
my chef nuts.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, these are gorgeous. What did you think? Yeah, and what about the Pinot? Steve, we were joking. We're like, this is probably the first time he's ever paired Pinot with a cinnamon roll. What do you think about the pairing?
Well, I think it's interesting because typical characteristic of this wine is a cinnamon graham cracker nose.
Oh, wow.
So if you're really swirling it and taking a little sniff there, you're going to find that cinnamon edge, and that's very typical of it. Very bright acidity, and lots of notes of red plum, Bing cherry, and raspberry. So why not?
You think it works, everybody? I mean, who knew? You could start early. We're starting earlier every day with the wine, I feel like. Yeah, she's empty glasses all around. It's amazing. I think no matter what kind of bread you're making, the bread and wine connection is pretty amazing.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I was really excited to do this because I feel like a lot of people just associate sourdough with bread.
Yeah, I've
and it
never thought
really-
to do it in a cinnamon roll.
Yeah, it has a lot of different uses. We've found a couple of ways to use them over the years just because when you're using a sourdough starter, you're tossing some of it when you're feeding it. So
Right.
you have to feed it some water and some liquid in order to keep it alive. So you're just having to discard some of the starter when you're feeding it. and that can be a lot.
That's right.
You're discarding a lot of it. So you find some different ways to use the discarded portion, and this is a great way to do that. I've done sourdough pretzels in the past as well
my
that have
gosh.
gone over really well.
My kids would die if they knew that I was here
yeah.
with you right now. Like, can we go to the shop?
I find that a little bit of whole wheat flour in those pretzels is
Right.
nice. Even
That's
in
different.
these guys too, yeah.
Well, we're lucky in that if we don't want to do this, we can just go visit you at Monday Bakery
Please
and
do.
get them for us, right?
Absolutely.
Oh, it's incredible. Thank you for sharing.
Of
Does,
course.
does anybody have questions about the film, about what Sally just made, or the wine? Don't be shy. Yes? Where can you get a sourdough starter, she's asking.
So like I said, some people are very protective of their starter.
I was going to say possessive, but protective's
That
nicer.
works too, yeah. However, San Francisco is really known for its sourdough starter. So different regions, the starters taste different because the starter really relies on the wild yeast
In the
that
air. Wow.
So obviously the air is different in New York versus LA versus San Francisco. So San Francisco sourdough is a very well-known aspect of sourdough.
Right. Like,
Yeah.
I think it is, what is the word? Yeah, it is well known. I think we
Yeah.
recognize it.
Yeah,
Recognizable.
absolutely. It has a very distinct flavor to it. So where I'm leading with that is a lot of companies in San Francisco, I think Boudin has a
Yeah.
sourdough starter that you can purchase online. The great thing about sourdough starter, you can actually dehydrate it and restart it at any time.
I learned something else.
Yeah.
Mind blown. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
I can't
so
believe that.
I've definitely seen companies that ship them, and they just come in these little weird packets of dust. And
Isn't that weird? You
very
could literally
sketchy.
Google anything and
Yeah.
get a response. You could Google sourdough starter purchase and like boom, and put your location and see what you come up with,
yeah,
right?
absolutely. I mean, Google is a magical thing. Yeah.
Yes, if you don't live in Napa. Oh, I think we're going to put it online. Maybe Stephanie, we're going to put it online, the recipe. Yes, so Napa Valley Film Festival. We'll get it. I'm saying we. I'm not doing it. But yes, they will. Somebody magical will put the recipe online for you to access.
Using my mic.
So good. Any other questions? Oh, temperature
good
for
question.
baking and for how long?
Yeah, we usually do 325, and we'll do roughly 20 to 30 minutes. You do a nice low and slow so that you allow the yeast to activate and get really large and in charge.
And then do you use a thermometer to see if they're done? Or like an instant read, or you just know?
I would recommend that you do. I don't personally, because like I said, I make 5 million of them.
She can see like done.
But if you don't have an instant read, really great ways to tell. Color is going to be nice and beautiful, a really dark golden brown. You can kind of touch the centers, and if they feel very firm, you don't want them jiggling around at all. But if they feel really nice and firm to the touch, then you're good.
You're good to go?
Yeah.
Amazing. So if you want to go visit Sally at Monday Bakery while you're here this weekend, you certainly can.
Please
And
do.
I would really encourage everybody to go see Remy's film tonight at 6
Definitely.
o'clock at the Archer.
Yeah, tonight at 6.
And tomorrow at Charles Crew
Yeah, at 8:15.
at 8:15. Okay, amazing. All right. I am so grateful you're all here with us today, and thank you for sharing your morning with us.
Thank you.
Bye. We'll see you soon. I hope you'll come back. Thank you. So fun.